For my action plan, I decided to create a proposal around the idea of flexible seating in the classroom. I wanted to test the effectiveness of it and how it would promote on-task behaviors. I currently teach 18 first graders right now, and it is so hard for me as an adult to sit for an hour straight, let alone for 6 and 7 year olds. So giving them the chance to move was one way I thought could be beneficial to helping them stay on task and stay more focused. So my action plan was to implement different types of flexible seating options. I have floor pillows, which just sit on the floor, allows them a comfortable spot to sit. They don't move, so they're non-kinesthetic. We have wobble cushions. These sit on their chair, allows them to wobble back and forth. This would be a kinesthetic flexible seating option. We have bucket stools. These bucket stools sit on the floor and allows them to rock back and forth. And then lastly, we implemented yoga ball seating, and this just allows the students to sit on it. They can bounce up and down, again, getting that kinesthetic movement. So overall, my goal was to see if flexible seating would help improve their on-task behaviors, help increase their focus throughout the day, and just allow us to get into more content deeper. And so I thought the best course of action would be to use interval time sampling to document students' on-task behaviors. So these intervals were set beforehand, and students didn't know when they were going to be documented, when their on-task behaviors were going to be recorded. So they had no idea. So that way it didn't affect the results at all. After collecting my data, I did realize that I should have given my students more time to explore the options before just putting them right into it. They did have some issues at first, thinking they were toys and playing with them, and that didn't go over well. But the more we got used to it, the more that they used them as tools instead of toys. Another issue I ran into would be who would pick what seating how. So at first I decided that I was going to have students pick whatever seating they wanted and pick the learning environment that they learn best in, so they could move anywhere around the classroom. That led to arguments with who was getting what seat, or this person got this one yesterday, they shouldn't get it again. And then also students tended to pick spots right next to their friends, which ultimately led to more distractions. After looking at this data, I did decide to set my room up in stations with the flexible seating. So for example, I have this table right over here, and it has all of the yoga ball seating right next to or around it. And students that use that specific station will get to use that seating at the time, and then it'll switch when we move to the next station. I also had my floor pillows set up on my carpet whenever they would be in their book station. That way they have a comfortable place to sit, and then the others are just implemented in other areas around my room. So that has, from what I've noticed, eliminated a lot of the argument, a lot of the back and forth of where am I going to sit and why did I not get this one versus that one. So let's see. Like I said, after analyzing data, I did realize that a system would need to be put into place to show or to help make this run more efficiently, make the flexible seating options more viable for my classroom. Stakeholders in this in this project would definitely be the teacher. Flexible seating most of the time is not provided by the school, so the teacher does have to buy majority of it themselves. Thankfully, I was able to do a Donors Choose project, and I was able to get our floor pillows, our wobble cushions, and our yoga ball seating all donated and all funded through Donors Choose, which was amazing. And so I didn't have to purchase those. But if it's coming out of your pocket, it can get really expensive. And so the stakeholder would definitely just have to weigh their resources and figure out how they could implement it, or different ways, strategies to make sure it's not costing an arm and a leg. The teacher would also need to set clear expectations for each wobble seat or flexible seating option, just because so students know how to use it, and they need to stick strictly to those expectations. If the student isn't using it right or is not following the expectations and rules, then they don't get to use that one until they can figure out those rules. Another stakeholder would be other staff members for in the school that work in your room or with your students. And so they would also, if you have an aide coming in, they would need to know those rules and expectations for the flexible seating and how that process works, so they can also follow those rules and keep that same consistency with the students. Other stakeholders would be the students by having to know those expectations and follow them. And then the families, the teacher would have to communicate with those families to let them know what was going on, and families can stress the importance of following the rules, especially for safety when using seats like this. As a timetable, I would say this would need at least the first 6 weeks of school. You want to set those expectations and procedures, and normally it does take the full first 6 weeks. And so I would use that to teach the expectations, let the students explore it, and then I would use the next 3 to 4 weeks to collect that data to be able to have accurate results that reflect students' actual on-task behaviors when using it versus them just being introduced to it. So depending on the teacher, there can be many different types of resources for this project. Like I said, I used wobble stools, or wobble cushions, bucket seats, yoga ball stools. That doesn't have to be every case. It can be a pillow that they get, or a camping chair. It can be any type of option, but overall I did find that flexible seating does help students stay on task, especially if they are a student that needs to be up and moving.